It is Know Thyself with Michelle
and Rachel.
And hello, we're trying to do a little, see if it works out. I'm not sure. First week doing the video on top of the podcast. So we'll see how it goes. I think we wanted to kind of start out with what we've been reading this week. You want to start?
Yeah, so this week I just finished Broken Bonds today.
Such a great series. Moving on.
But I don't know about the guys yet.
It's one of those enemies to lovers kind of thing. So you're like,
yeah,
I fucking hate these assholes. And then you're like, I can't live without him now.
Well, there's one of them that I actually like. And then Atlas, there's something going on there.
They're all flaky. What the fuck are you doing? Anyways.
I'm suspicious.
Yes. Okay, I can dig that. I read Snapdragon. It's like a monster dragon smut book. It was okay. I wasn't reading it just for the smut. I was reading it for the story. And the story was really good. It just felt like it wasn't on par with where it was going, I guess.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But it was still it was a smaller read, but it was a nice, little fun. Yeah, after the book.
After the trauma that is Sundial.
Yes. Yes. And then I also read a pirate book. I don't remember the name. Oh, from Stardust? Which was really cool. It was kind of she's a maiden, but not really. She's actually a lady. You know, in that time period, it mattered the last name you had. So, they go on this piratey adventure. She becomes a pirate, and falls in love. But I'm not gonna spoil the ending because there's a second book. It's just not out yet. It drives me insane. I need to look at the release date before I just get into a book.
Yeah.
But
she falls in love with the scurvy pirate.
Yes, and it's a cliffhanger ending, and I'm just like, I need the next book now. Come on. But it's fine. I won't spoil the ending for you guys. At least not on that book. Now, Sundial, spoilers very much.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Very much spoilers. We're going to talk about this whole book.
Yes. So what else have you read this week?
So the other book I read was called Heart Recaptured. And it was by Tilly Cole, which is no longer available. There's something weird going on with
copyright, maybe, or whatever.
I don't know. I think it has to do with something that's not very racially friendly.
Okay.
Because there's probably later in the series, there's somebody that was in the KKK. Because there is a character that joins the MC.
So it's kind of one of those, are they wanting to ban it? Kind of not really.
Yeah.
Got it. Unfortunately, that does happen.
Yeah. So now I can't continue the series, but that's okay. Unless
you pay outrageous prices.
Yeah.
I mean, that's usually how it goes anyways, but yeah, that's all I've read so far. I mean, this week has not been very book friendly for me, apparently. But I think we're gonna just go ahead and talk about the book.
Sundial?
Yeah. Sundial by Catriona Ward.
Yeah.
It's a horror mostly and a thriller. This book, I'm really not sure where to start, actually.
This book gave me a lot of trauma.
Yes, I was actually worried because I read the book first, and I was like, I need you to read it. But we agreed not to talk about it. We're going to talk about it here, so it just seems a little bit more genuine, and we can actually...
Our actual thoughts are out on the table.
Yes, where you're not just through text or, no, we're just going to talk about it. We talked about kind of how we were going to do this, but we did not talk about the book altogether. But I was kind of worried when I read the first couple chapters, mostly when it started introducing what Sundial was. I was like, Rachel. So that's why I texted you. I was like, if you do not finish, it is okay.
I was worried when the first chapter, because it started in the suburbs. And I was like, oh, I don't really like suburb horror, but...
It was a little rough to start.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of, I was like, oh, I don't know what I was expecting, I guess. But the first chapter, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be a dry one. At least that was my initial thoughts.
Yeah.
But obviously, that turned around quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like, it's mostly kind of a retelling from the past to the future events. I think, right? I mean, that's kind of how I feel.
So it starts out present day, and then it goes to Rob, which is the mom's story of growing up in Sundial.
Yes. And, I just felt like it didn't get enough to what the book's about. Like, I felt like I was just waiting. I'm like, okay. All right.
Yeah, because I think you're like 40% in before we get to the end chapter.
Yeah, it's pretty much, I want to say the last, like, 80 pages is where it's like, oh, what the?
Yeah.
Like, I was, yeah, no. So, the book's, like, multiple POVs, mostly about Rob, the main character.
And then her daughter, Callie, are the main POVs. And then everybody else, we don't really switch in. We have one Jack chapter, I think.
Do we?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize. But that kind of makes sense. So Jack is kind of, well, not kind of. Jack is Rob's, the main character's sister. Twin sister, actually, I should say.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot that part. And is older. Jack is older by 4 minutes. That is with twins, that's one of the, like, main argue points with twins. But yes, I don't know if that matters, but it is a distinction in the book.
Yeah.
So, we also kind of have some other characters. Irving.
Which is a dickhead.
Yeah, straight piece of shit. When you first, like, first chapter, you're like, I hate this motherfucker. Like, no joke. I kind of got the impression, it doesn't necessarily outright spell it out, but I got the impression that he is a habitual cheater.
Yeah.
Okay. That's kind of the impression I got. He has, like, flames of the month, or whatever you want to call it.
He has affairs constantly, and then he is verbally abusive and physically abusive.
Yes. I got the verbal, like, emotionally more.
Yeah.
Because he plays, like, pranks on her. That just, I don't know why.
The robe prank pissed me the fuck off.
The what?
The robe prank.
Oh, God.
Where he put maggots in a robe.
So, fun fact is, like, the first kind of, I think it's either the first or second chapter, where, Irving plays a prank on his wife, Rob, which, I don't know, maybe just how it was written, but he asked her to try something, like, hey, I'm making something, will you try it, see if it tastes okay? And the distinction is red maggots. Now, to me, I've never seen a red fucking maggot.
Yeah,
like,
I don't
white.
know.
So I was like, oh, he's a killer. 100%. I was like, 100% he's a killer. Obviously, I think he had some kind of, I don't know.
See, I was trying to think if it was all in her head and she just made up this whole story, or if it was actually happening. Like her then chapters.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a good question.
Because
I didn't really think about it that way.
Abused, like, the whole novel.
Yeah. Kind of a backstory. So Rob grew up at Sundial, which is what the book is named after, and it is a remote house in the Mojave Desert, like really remote. And she kind of grows up isolated with her stepmom and father, but is also a stepfather, but she thinks it's her actual father. Which, of course, you don't get into that until, like, really late in the book.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she grew up kind of isolated, and then I don't know if I want to talk about Irving, the Irving connection just yet.
Okay, we can wait on Irving.
But she grows up kind of isolated, and then, she does end up getting out to try to have, like, a normal life. Goes to college, and then, obviously some things bring her back to Sundial. So, I don't know. There was a chapter that Irving was kind of, like, I feel like coming at her, like he was going to hurt her physically.
Yeah.
But it's never talked about after that. But I get the feeling that he was physically abusive.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily say it. So trigger warning. I'm not 100% sure.
Honestly, I wish horror books had trigger warnings like romance novels. So,
yes.
like, you have, okay, this has this, and this. If this triggers you, don't read this.
Yes. But I feel like every book does now, so maybe it's just the older books. And you're right, it's just romance that I've seen, like, the trigger warning. Yeah. Like, hey, if these are your triggers, don't fucking read the book. But, so, obviously something happens. I think the main... What do you consider the main point of why she goes back to Sundial?
To take her daughter... She wants to see if her daughter is a bad dog, I guess.
Yeah, it's the correct terminology, yes. Yeah.
Because she thinks, at the very beginning of the book, I think it happens in the first chapter, where her daughter, Annie, took some Irving's diabetes pills.
Oh yeah, he's diabetic. Sorry. It was not important. I mean, it's important, but not really.
So she thinks that Callie gave her those diabetes pills because she finds a bunch of animal bones and the cap to the pill bottle in Callie's room.
Yes. Annie is 9 years old, I think.
Maybe.
From what I understood. I had to do some math on Callie's age, but Annie, it did say she was 9, and then I thought Callie was 11, 12, and then
I think it
specifically says 12 later. Which I don't know if that's really, like, super important, but I think it's a distinction that Callie is older. Yeah. It kind of starts out, the first, like Rachel said, the first chapter was like, okay. So it's just, like, so weird. It opens up with Rob as the first point of view, and you kind of get to know her, and it's like, Annie has chickenpox. Okay, kids get chickenpox, but she's like, my husband's cheating. Yeah. And I'm like, what?
I think literally the first line is like, Annie has chickenpox.
My husband means my husband is cheating. Oh yeah, no, my husband is having another affair. I wish she would have made that connection. Did she in the book?
A little bit, because she said that Hannah, which is the neighbor that he's cheating on with.
The next door neighbor, Hannah, I don't remember her last name. Anyways, moving on.
Said that her son has had the chicken pox
when
they got back from the trip.
Okay. That's the part I was like, I don't understand how she knew this. But I guess I just didn't make that connection, or I skimmed that one. I don't know. Let's be real. I have no idea. So I'm not going to tell you the twist ending yet, but I did not like the twist ending.
I was okay with the twist ending.
I felt like the entire book I just read was like, oh. Well, I
wish there was more of Annie's perspective. Like, we went back to Annie and Irving.
Yeah.
So you could see more of her
unless nothing really happened. I mean, I don't know. How long were they out there? A week, technically? I don't think. I was about to say, it doesn't specifically state, which is fine. But I don't know how long they were away, because when Rob and Callie decided to go to Sundial, the house, which I assume is still in her name, which doesn't obviously say, but I just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. No, oh yeah, okay, so Callie and Rob go to Sundial, and then Irving and Annie stay. And Irving is not a very caring dad, so it's an excuse for Hannah to come over. Or at least that's kind of how I felt.
And also, Rob and Irving both have a favorite daughter.
Yes.
So, like, Annie is Rob's favorite daughter, and Irving's favorite daughter is Callie.
Yeah. Which, it makes sense later on, but knowing, like, I hate when parents have, like, a favorite. It actually drives me insane, but it's fine. But yeah, that's kind of that's how I took it as well when I was reading it. So, I suppose maybe go into a little bit what Sundial actually is, and then kind of go into what happened. Yeah. At work. Okay. So like I said, Sundial is kind of like literally a very, very remote house, farm-ish.
I think it's more like there's a house, and then there's like a little commune, but there's also labs because they do like experiments on dogs.
Yes. Yeah.
Which trigger if you don't like that.
Yes. And that's the main reason I told Rachel if she DNF'd it, that it was fine, because I know that's one of her triggers. We actually talked about it in the first and second episode of the podcast. I don't have any hard no's, but I know she does, so I was kind of actually worried that you were not gonna finish the book.
Listen, I got to 85%. 23 came into the house, and I was like, oh, fuck.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly when I was like, that's when I actually messaged you. I'm like, it's okay, it's alright, don't stress too much. I think what probably really saved you, it wasn't very descriptive. Like, I think her main, like, how the dogs kill people are mainly just, like, to the throat. And that's...
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, she doesn't describe, like, the carnage of that. Which I think,
yes. So here's my thing.
Okay.
I've actually been through a dog attack. Rottweiler specifically. So when 23, which is a Rottweiler, comes into the house, I was like, oh fuck, this is gonna be hard for me.
Yes.
And I paused it at 85, like I had a tiny breakdown, and then I was good. I was like, okay, we're gonna do this. We're calm. It's not real.
I mean...
As Cooper looks at me.
Yeah, you have to go. Yes. So it does kind of, I think, in a scariness factor, that obviously is a lot of triggering, but sometimes the description of, like, her, like, with the skull, they put skulls on top of them because they mess their brains or something.
It kind of made me think of those dinosaurs that have, like, their skull out. You know what I'm talking about?
Like Cubone from Pokemon, kind of like the exterior. Yes, that's kind of how I got it.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure why, because it's not really talked about, but they do, obviously. Not Robin. I mean, Robin, Jack kind of are complicit into the experiments, but it's mostly Mia, which is the stepmom, and Jack and Rob absolutely fucking hate her. I'm not really sure.
I don't understand why they hated her so much, but I think it's because they thought she was their stepmom.
Yes.
When really she was their adopted mom.
Yes. Yeah. Which, obviously you don't find out until later. So, and then Falcon, which is, I think Rob was the only one that really was like, this is my father, not an adopted father. And then I think Jack knew everything. Or...
I think when she ran away with the guy from the college, I'm not going to spoil who that is yet.
Okay.
The lab, because they have college students in the lab.
Yeah, they have, it's rotation of grad students.
Yeah.
Is kind of how they worded it, which I that just throws me for a loop. If you're, like, in a remote desert, how do you advertise, like, hey, I'm doing experiments on dogs?
Yeah.
Come see. Unless she's, like, gotten, like, papers written, maybe that part, but it wasn't talked about in the book, which is kind of the reason why I gave her the rating I did, but that's not the point. Anyways, we're not on that yet.
Yeah. But anyways, with the college students, she found out when she ran away with one of them. Because I think they brought her back, and then they explained to her what was going on.
And then she became, like, really increasingly distant from her twin, Rob. Which I think if I remember correctly, she was 17 when she decided to, or when she was running away. Or, as Rob thought, Jack was being kidnapped, because obviously it's her sister. She doesn't want to think that she's leaving her. Like, you're leaving me behind? How fucking dare you? Which is kind of rude, but I think it was Jack. It's like, I need to, it was her only way to get out at the time. And I think she didn't think Rob would follow her, and I don't think she would have at that time.
No. Also, I think Jack was starting to progress further into
craziness?
Yeah.
Whatever you wanted. They called it the darkness-ish.
I think, yeah.
But yeah, I think that's why Jack did that. At least that's what I thought. Like, she was like, I need to get the fuck out, you know? Maybe having a normal life would make her normal and not...
Seeing ghost dogs.
Yes. However that works out. I don't know. Anyways. So, then that kind of goes into Rob. I think it was, like, at 19 or 18. I don't remember. I think it was more 19 and 20.
Yeah.
Where Rob decides to actually leave a normal life, and Jack kind of resents her, really. I think she kind of resented her after she, you know, tried to get kidnapped / escape.
Yeah.
And that kind of put, like, a really deep hole in their relationship.
Well, I think it was Jack was going through something and Rob couldn't understand because Rob didn't know the extent of what everything was happening.
Yeah. I can kind of see that, yeah. See, we have different opinions. And this is why we like to talk. Because I kind of like how you think of it one way, and I'm like, no, this is what I thought. Like, because you can read, I mean, we can read the same book and have different opinions, and that's fine. It's not fine. I'm just joking. So then it kind of goes into, you want to talk about Irving now?
By what?
You want to talk about Irving now?
Oh, Irving and his bitch ass.
A little bit, yeah. I guess there is one thing I forgot to mention. I'm sorry. So Rob, the main character, has a kind of book inside a book, and I really didn't understand the importance of it until the end.
Yeah.
Which is kind of one of those things like, okay, cool. Why am I reading about the same? Because she uses the same characters from her life as kind of like a release inside the book that she's
reading. It's a book inside of a book.
Yes. It's just like it was really hard to comprehend because I'm like, I don't even know who the teacher was until later on.
Yeah.
Because it didn't make sense to me. But I did kind of like that.
I also kind of skimmed those chapters. Not gonna lie, I read them, but I was like, what is the importance of her?
Yeah. It doesn't tie together until, you know, her backstory, which doesn't happen until like the last 20% of the book.
Yeah.
Like, so it's kind of frustrating. But I kind of did like that it's called Arrowwood. I don't know what the importance of the name is. Sorry. Don't know. Not that writer. But I kind of did like, in at least the physical version of it, it was a darker color, the page. It was a darker, like, tone. And then it had different font, which I kind of liked. But I don't know how that would have translated into the Kindle version if they did that. Maybe just different font? Because I don't know.
Possibly. I don't know. I didn't read it on Kindle.
I know. But that was kind of the cool tab that I wanted to throw in because it's like, how would that reflect in a Kindle version? Or digital, I should say. Not everything's not Kindle, but, you know, digital. Because they don't use different colors
to distinct.
Yeah, I mean, you can choose your different color, at least in the Kindle, but I was just curious to see how that. So if you do know, our viewers, let us know, because that would be interesting to know that fact.
Yeah.
So, sorry, go ahead.
Also, this cover is very pretty.
Oh.
I know it has a skull and a snake on it, but it, like, the colors and everything are aesthetically pleasing.
Yes. And that's why I don't really like the
yellow one with the dog. Honestly, that should have clued me in. It should have like
just a little bit.
Oh, there's a dog in this.
Yeah,
multiple dogs.
And you know, I honestly didn't get it from the book either, the book cover, the physical, because it's like, this is a dog, this is a canine. I just thought it was like bull. I don't know, like I guess it's where my mind was like desert bull with the horns and everything, but no, did not get that. Anyways, so now we're gonna talk about why Irving is important. I guess. I don't know. I hated his character. He's kind of a dick.
He's a dick throughout the whole thing.
Throughout the whole thing.
And then on top of it, he's controlling.
Yes.
Like, he's even a dick when they're dating. Like, when they go to that French restaurant, he's a dick.
Yes, yes. And I don't know if she just... I I just don't know. I don't know if it was because she was sheltered and she saw like a face that she recognized. Because this is where the Irving part comes into play. So Irving, his actual day job is...
He's a professor, right?
He's a science professional.
Professor.
Science professor. And so he was actually one of the grad students that came into Sundial. And that's who Jack
ran away with
/ kidnap, however you want to look at it. And that's kind of why Irving's kind of a dick.
Also, I feel like he kind of tricked her. Like, so a lot of Jack's things is like, don't be a mirror. Don't be a mirror. Like, she says that to Callie all the time.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where she puts mirrors on her doll and stuff. She's like, don't be a mirror.
Yeah, I wrote down mirror theory, and I was like, why did I do that? I could not remember, but thank you for reminding me.
So I think she was trying to, like, mirror a normal life. So you're supposed to have a husband, you're supposed to have kids, you're supposed to have friends that are not scientists that experiment on dogs.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and another thing I really didn't like about Irving is when they're dating, he's like, it was supposed to be you, not Jack. And it's like, why throw that in there?
Yeah.
Like, is that I always wanted you? Or is it because he couldn't get the person he actually wanted? I'm not sure on that.
I think he just likes to manipulate women. Because he has a flavor of the week month, whatever.
Yeah. I could see that.
And where he was manipulating Jack at the beginning because she was kind of losing her mind. Then
okay, yeah.
he goes, okay, well, I can't manipulate Jack anymore because I'm not at Sundial. So
yeah,
here's the next best thing. Let's do it to Rob.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just not a good I mean, he's a good character in the book. The author did a very good job of making him seem like a piece of shit because he is. I thought in kind of the beginning, because it was a suburb area, I'm like, oh, this motherfucker, he's the killer.
Yeah.
That's exactly, I mean, I said it earlier, especially with the red maggots and stuff, but Callie, the reason why Callie is his favorite is she loves all the horror stuff. Like, she talked about it in one of the first couple chapters, is at the breakfast table, she's like, hey, this person died and did some stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like,
she also collects bones.
yes.
Which you find out at the very, very end where those all come from.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I want to say that right now.
No, yeah, we can talk about it later. It's not that big of a deal. So that's kind of where Irving comes into play, and Rob actually did kind of leave him. But that's kind of, I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead. Well, backtrack. So while she's with Irving, Rob decides to go to Sundial with him to introduce her, I think, a fiance at the time.
Yeah.
To her stepmothers and Jack, I think, to kind of maybe rub it in their faces, or at least hers.
At least Jack's face. She definitely did that to be like, hey, look what I have and you don't have.
Yeah. And then her, obviously, Mia and Falcon, which is the adopted step parents or whatever, was like, they are very into independence and making your own decisions, which, great. But I don't think it helped in the long run. Because they're scientists, they feel like you should make your own kind of scientific solution or mistakes. I don't know what I'm doing.
Also, I feel like it was a way for them to not control the girls because they wanted to see their reactions.
Okay.
To being like, if what they did to them was gonna fix them or like reverse.
That makes sense now, especially with some spoilers coming up. Don't worry, we'll get there, okay? So they go, and I think they were going to spend the weekend or the night or whatever. So they spend at least one night there, and Irving does what Irving does best: cheats.
Always,
Every
single time.
So he cheats on Rob with Jack. I'm not sure if they didn't really talk about it in the book if the younger version of Jack slept with Irving. I'm not sure. It might have been implied.
I think it mentioned it like maybe once, and it was real quick.
Okay. Yeah, so it might have been a little bit implied that, like, they had some kind of sexual relationship, that's why. But obviously Jack sleeps with Irving at Sundial and kind of rubs it in Rob's face. But I think it's because she's like, hey, look what a piece of shit he is. He slept with your twin sister.
Yeah.
Is that kind of how you got to?
Yeah, that's how I got. I think she was trying to steer Rob away from Irving, which, good on her.
Yes. Yes.
I think the way she did it was not the best.
Yes. No. So obviously Rob and Irving end up leaving Sundial because obviously Rob's like, well, fuck you. Like, I'm done kind of thing. And she kind of breaks things off with Irving, kind of goes back to school. And then
she meets a couple friends, or she
roommates
starts hanging out with her roommates.
Yeah. Because she's really down in the dumps because, she basically lost her sister again.
And her fiance.
And her fiance. So she's kind of down in the dumps. And then the plot point twist, well, not a plot point, or not a plot twist, but a plot point would be Jack visits her at the college?
Yeah, she's at the college.
So then
they find out that, well, Rob finds out that Jack is pregnant, but Jack doesn't find out Rob is pregnant at that point.
Right.
Because they're both pregnant with Irving's kid.
No.
Yeah.
No.
The first pregnancy is both of them are Irving's kid.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I didn't get that. I mean, I did. I made that connection. Like, yeah, it was Irving's kid. But then it says later in the book, she was like 2 months behind Rob.
Yeah.
In pregnancy.
But
right?
So Rob and
okay,
Irving
are
dating. Okay?
Yes.
So, obviously, if they're dating, they're probably fucking.
Yes.
Especially with Irving's bitch ass.
Yeah. I don't know why. Anyway, moving yes. Okay.
So, and then they go to Sundial,
mm-hmm.
and then Jack has the one night stand with Irving.
Yeah.
And then that's when they both get pregnant. So Rob was pregnant before she went to Sundial. She just didn't know it.
Oh, okay. I took it as, well, damn, I missed that altogether because I was like, oh, okay. No, I still didn't get that. I didn't get that. I took notes. I did too. But I was just like, Rob's daughter, question mark. Like,
yeah.
But then I figured out, like, Callie is actually
Jack's baby.
Yeah. But
Not Rob's.
Moving on. Because I swear to God,
I thought Callie, which is Callie's imaginary friend, is the baby that Rob had.
Yes, I made that connection. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna put that back. Okay. So obviously they both become pregnant. Obviously, Rob takes Jack back to Sundial.
Yes.
And kind of takes sabbatical. She just kind of just runs
quits
off
college.
Yeah, she just quits college and takes off with her roommate's car. And I don't know if her roommate ever got the car back.
I have no idea.
They never talked about it, but I know she had it for more than 2 months. So, horrible friend. Not the point. Anyway. Because I think it's later that Jack kind of has a drug problem. Mostly from, I think it's Powell. He lived... Powell? Pawell. He lived on the Sundial full time.
Yeah.
He was a Polish immigrant. That's what I can remember.
He helped with the experiments, and he kind of like helped with the girls too.
Yeah.
And then you find out things later about him.
Yeah, he has a horror story that I just glossed over because I was more interested on the other fact because it was getting good. But yeah, she kind of gets into a drug problem, and they do it at the farm as kind of like a deterrent. Like, she's keeping her in line, like complacent maybe. Or at least that's kind of how I took it.
Yeah, I think she went there to kind of like make sure that Jack did everything right with the baby.
Yeah.
Also, there's also experiments going on with 23, who is also pregnant. So there's like a little foreshadowing.
Yeah.
With that. 23 is a Rottweiler, by the way.
Yes, sorry. They don't name them. They only named one dog on the farm because he was, I think it was more of a emotional support animal than an experiment. And that was the only one they were able to name. All the other ones were numbers.
Yeah.
So, yes. So, do you want to talk about the plot point of Callie with Rob?
So, what do you mean by the plot point of Callie and Rob?
Like, Pale Callie.
So, Pale Callie is Rob's daughter, but Jack and Rob get into a fight.
Yes.
And Jack kicks Rob so hard multiple times that she has a miscarriage.
Yes.
So, Pale Callie is Callie's imaginary friend, but Callie sees ghosts. Like, she has Pale Callie and Dumpster Puppy.
Yes.
Poor Dumpster Puppy. Loses a leg.
Yes. Anyways, yeah. So that's where I made the connection where that Rob really wanted to name her child Callie. She really liked the name.
Yeah.
So when, obviously Jack didn't help, but escalated the miscarriage, really. Not escalated. What am I thinking?
I think she caused it.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think she knew she was pregnant, or if she did, she just didn't care.
Yeah. I think that was because at this point in the book, Jack has slowly been losing her mind, and she sees a bunch of dogs. She's very erratic. She puts mirrors all over her bedroom.
Yeah. Crazy mode. Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't know if the drugs are helping or not, because I don't know. It didn't say what kind of drugs, but in the Mojave Desert, I mean, there's Indians, so I was thinking like peyote, which is like some crazy shit.
Yeah.
So that's where I was thinking. I don't know if it meant more hardcore stuff. We don't know.
And also, her mental health is going downhill, as well as 23's.
Yes.
So you see 23 become more violent, and you're like, okay, well, this is not fun, first of all.
Yeah. Yes.
Secondly, you're like, okay, well, why is the dog not good anymore? I guess good is not the best term for it. But
why is it behaving in this way?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the one dog that I mentioned that I don't remember the name, I'm sorry. The only one they were able to name got killed by 23, which Rob asked about the dog because it was obviously a very important dog to them, and you don't find out until later that it was 23 that
killed the dog,
killed the one friendly. I mean, they're all friendly, but yeah, the one that was named. Sorry, I didn't write it down. I didn't think it was important.
Also, they keep mentioning this puppy farm and these people that have.
Oh yeah, that's a big plot point.
A puppy farm that went crazy, and he killed his wife, and then he overdosed. I think is what it was.
Yeah, one of them overdosed, and the other one killed each other. I just don't remember what order. But yeah, I kind of took it as like a puppy meal, like a breeding.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's because there was like a ton of cages and stuff. I don't know. Do you want to talk about
the puppy farm?
Yeah, like why it's important.
So, do you want me to spoil the big thing at the end?
I mean, we're almost there.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about 23, and that's kind of where the book takes off with all the stuff that happens with 23. Do you want to talk about that and then go back, or I feel like we should just talk about why? This is hard because I feel like once we start talking about it, it's just gonna blow the book open.
Let's go for it.
Let's just do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Talk about the puppy farm.
Okay, so the puppy farm isn't actually puppies. It is a bunch of little kids, and they just call it a puppy farm, and I assume they're trafficking these children.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where Rob and Jack come from. So Rob ends up killing the woman for sure. I think the guy still overdosed.
Yeah, I think you're right. If I remember correctly.
But Falcon and Mia find Rob and Jack at the puppy farm in quotations.
Yeah, when they were 4, I think. Around 4 at the time. Both of them were around 4.
And then Rob has blocked out
everything.
Everything.
The entire thing.
Just like went catatonic for a while, and she doesn't remember anything from 4 previous in her life.
Yeah. And then that kind of brings into how they were named. So Mia and Falcon didn't name the kids. It was actually Rob. Rob's like, I guess that was her first word whenever she did start talking, was Rob.
Mm-hmm.
And then she named Jack, her sister Jack. Yeah. Which you find out is kind of fucked up because the people that kind of kidnapped them were named that.
I think one was like Robert and one was Jackie or Jacqueline or
something like that.
Close.
But I mean, that's kind of that just gives me goosebumps a little bit because it's like, oh yeah, don't remember who the fuck you were or what the trauma you caused me, but it printed enough to be like, yeah.
And then when they find the 2 girls, Mia and Falcon, they start doing the experiments on the dogs to make them like forget kind of, I guess, past trauma, because all the dogs have had some kind of trauma in their lives.
Yeah.
They've been abused. They've been something or other.
Yeah. There's something wrong with the dogs that made them messed up in any capacity, but all the dogs are like that.
Do you want to talk about how the experiments are going?
Not really. Because I don't know when they were injected.
So I think they did the experiment and then they started seeing that Jack was going downhill. So they came up with a solution to try to fix why Jack's mental capacity and why she was starting to be more violent was helping. They also did that to 23, which is why Jack and 23 are kind of linked.
Yes, yeah. I kind of agree with that. I think it was said in the book that the experimentation is to cure them and to make them without anger and fear, specifically. I took Western from the book. You're welcome.
Okay.
I remember that part. And I think more anger than fear.
Well, I think
just
all
because
of them,
Jack.
Yeah, I think all of them were acting out in some way
Yeah.
or other. So they were trying to make the bad dogs good.
Yeah.
And they refer to Jack and Rob as dogs as well. Like, they're good dogs or bad dogs.
Yes. And that's kind of part of the reason why Jack pushed Rob away is so to give her kind of like a normal life.
Yeah. Because Jack had mental issues, obviously, because she has fucked up trauma in her past.
She must have remembered. I don't know if it says or not.
I think she remembered a little of it, but I know she made up her mom. Like, she made up Lily.
Yes, yeah. Lily was a figment of Jack's imagination, and the mother figure that tied Mia into being mean to Mia, kind of. It's like Lily was this great mother and did all these nice things, and Rob knows that Jack is making it up, but kind of goes along with it because she wants to have that fantasy. Oh, this is a book.
Yeah, this is a book.
Woo!
Okay, so let's get into the trauma.
Yes.
Okay, So,
what happens with 23?
Yeah.
I think that's the main plot point.
yes.
Go ahead.
This is 85% into the book, by the way. There was nothing
Yes.
previous. There was like one tiny snippet, okay? I know, because I have trauma.
No judgment, I promise. Anyways.
But Jack has Callie, and then all of a sudden, 23's in the house. And, like, I don't remember how 23 got into the house. I kind of blocked that out.
Okay, so I can kind of take from that, or take a little bit from that moving forward. So, kind of Rob helps Jack carry the baby to term, really.
Yeah.
So she stays there and gets, Jack ready. And then, I don't know if they impregnated 23 to make sure she was pregnant.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt. It was like, the timing was just too...
They wanted to make sure that what happened to Jack was not going to carry over to the baby.
Yes. So they kind of did more experiments. So I know that 23 ends up... So let me back up. Because Jack antagonizes 23. So 23 had trauma regarding its tail being pulled from like the butt, obviously just pulling the... And I think 23 has a ton of scars around, like they were trying to cut off the tail, or it was always something with the pulling of the tail, and it made her freak out. But that's after 23 had given birth to her babies.
Yes.
So then we find out that 23 is in the house, but then we find out later that she killed all their babies. I think she had three. I must have said three. Solid number. So she kills her babies and then goes on kind of like a rampage. Do you want to take over? Or you want me to go ahead and talk about it?
You can go ahead and talk about it.
Okay, I figured, but I just wanted to be sure. So 23 literally kills everyone.
Mia and Rob and Jack, I believe. And then I think...
Not Rob.
No. Mia, Falcon, Jack...
And
he went away because she
yes.
sent him away because he was giving
yes.
Jack the drugs.
Yes. Sorry, my bad. So yes. So
come to find out, he was one of the experiments too.
Yes.
He had killed all his family, so they brought him to the farm so they could do whatever they did.
He was technically the first human experiment. With obviously you kind of know, or you kind of put together now that the experiments were to help the two kids, and they gave it to Powell to see. He was the first human trial, and he was sad a lot.
Yeah.
Well,
it didn't work for him because why he gave Jack the drugs is because he was kind of having those hallucinations too.
Okay. So
he's like, okay, well, this is the only thing that helps me, so I'll give it to Jack to help her.
I gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, because he was... I don't know if it was from that experiment, but he was like... So they did kind of this like weekly like sacrifice circle. And so you throw something in the flame and explain what you're trying to get rid of. I think they did that almost weekly at the farm, and he always was sad and crying.
I think it was mainly so that Falcon for sure could see if the girls remembered anything.
That would make sense.
Because you sacrifice your trauma is basically what it is.
Yeah.
And then it's supposed to go away, but they wanted to see if Jack and Rob actually remembered the trauma.
But I don't think they ever participated. There was a couple times, but it was nothing important to the story. At least I don't think it was. So yes, obviously, Rob is going to sacrifice herself when 23 got into the house, so that, or at least that's how I took it, as so Jack could have
her child. She could raise her kid.
Yeah, so she could raise her kid. Jack kind of has, I don't know, maybe an epiphany, or she just doesn't think she can do it. So she kind of gets 23's attention and meets her end, like all everyone else does, really, throat to the teeth. And before that, she picks up a piece of mirror that had broken during the altercation and basically killed 23. And so, obviously, Rob is kind of distraught.
Yeah, and she has a baby.
Yeah, and she got a baby, went out the window. But that was what Jack was supposed to do. And obviously, Jack, I think wanted her daughter and her sister to have as normal life as they could.
And also, Rob went around and released all the other dogs from their cages, which is why she's been throwing meat the whole time in Sundial.
I did not get that.
There was one part where I said, meat? ? What are we doing?
I see that right there. Yes, then that was weird, because it was like, and she hasn't been back to Sundial, at least in the book, since 12 years ago, since that happened. Obviously, Callie being born.
Yeah.
And then 23. So, I mean, at least it didn't seem like she had been back.
I don't think so.
Okay. That's kind of how I took it.
But also, Irving showed up and he goes, this is my baby. I'm taking this baby. Meh.
Yes.
Irving bullshit.
Yes. So Rob kind of I think Mia and Falcon died outside. So I think she just left.
No, they both died in the house because Falcon was sick.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
And
you're right.
His throat ripped out.
Yes.
And there was graphic description of him getting torn apart in the bedroom. I'm like, I don't need this.
Yes. So Rob takes them outside.
Yes.
And, obviously stages the scene with the dog killing. And I don't think she moves 23.
No.
I think it's just, she takes them two outside. Seemed like a, dog attack. And Irving just randomly shows up.
Because the roommate with the car that she's had for so many months. Called Irving.
Okay, that kind of makes sense. So Irving kind of just shows up conveniently after all this happens, by the way, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna take my baby." It's so weird, but yeah, he was like, "I want to take the baby," and Rob's like, "Hey, we can be a family, please," because Irving was gonna be a dick and take the baby and leave, and basically like, Rob's not fit because she's fucking crazy, or he's manipulative like that. So even if she is kind of a little quirky, I wouldn't say necessarily crazy. But that's what Irving was like, oh, well, I'm just going to take her and you won't have her. And obviously Rob wants to keep Callie.
Yeah.
Because that's the last piece of her sister.
It's the last piece of her family, really.
Yeah, really, yeah. And obviously named her Callie because she didn't name, I don't know why she didn't name it something different. But I think probably because of pale Callie. Yeah. I think they wanted to, she's just thinking of herself. No, it is Callie.
Callie, yeah.
It was Rob's daughter that she was seeing like her imaginary friend, which I find comforting for some reason. I don't know why.
I think, so, I got this a little bit. Like, we haven't touched on Callie's story, really.
Yeah.
But Callie thinks that Rob is going to kill her.
Yes, yeah. During this whole thing. Because Irving has... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, Irving manipulated her into thinking that...
Yeah, he's good at that.
Rob is dangerous. She's going to hurt her.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Pale Callie's kind of like, she's going to kill you. You need to get this. And Pale Callie's kind of like guiding Callie throughout the whole book.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. She is kind of... And so... I don't know where I was going with that. I mean,
Irving shows up in that incident, too.
Yeah. So, another, like, plot point that we missed is, Rob is building, digging holes, and that's kind of what makes Pale Callie be like, yo, she's gonna fucking kill you. I mean, that's kind of the reason why, but, she found the Snoopy lunchbox that Jack buried.
Yeah, which has Jack's chapter in it. That was the only Jack chapter, is that letter.
Yeah, that's why I was like, Jack chapter. But no, it was a letter to kind of
explain everything.
And I think that's where you get the backstory of how they came to be, why their names are Jack and Rob. Because I always thought, I was like, oh, I don't know. It's a very masculine name, so I'm like, oh, Rob. Okay, it's a guy. Oh, no, wait, no, this is a girl. I have to kind of like flip my mind into that. But once I realized, like, starting out, I'm just like, oh, this guy's name is a guy. Stereotypic, and it's just what I thought. Not a big deal. But yeah, so during this entire time at Sundial, when Rob is telling Callie the story of her life, and that's where it's kind of like there's some present, you know,
present
tense, and then past tense, whatever, you know, year they're in. I mean, it doesn't say, but it doesn't really matter. But that's kind of what she's doing for Callie, is kind of explaining, and why she's trying to save both her kids.
Yeah, and she thinks that Callie is kind of taking the route that Jack took, and her mental's going downhill, and like, she's like, okay, well, maybe if we explain all this, this'll help. And there's also like the syringe with a drug in it that she is supposed to help, but she doesn't even end up giving it to Callie.
No, she actually like kind of just drains it. Like she, like I think she just kind of does away with it, really. So I don't know what she does with it, but it does say the empty syringe, as to, I'm not using it on my daughter.
Yeah.
Or, well, it's her daughter. Let's be real. She raised her. It's complicated. But Irving, this entire time, is like texting her and calling Rob nonstop, like, fucking come on. You know?
And Rob has previously like, I'm leaving you, I'm taking both our daughters, and Irving's freaking out, and then she kind of backpedals half the time, and then she goes, I'm leaving you, and there's a lot of back and forth with her.
Yeah, and I don't know if she was doing that. I mean, obviously she was doing it on purpose. She was antagonizing Irving to come out. But I don't know if she was leaving like a trail, like, hey, we're trying to reconcile for the police, but I mean, that was more of like future that I didn't talk about in the book. So, you know, Rob kind of antagonizes Irving to come back to Sundial.
Yeah, ultimately she's trying to save both of her daughters.
Yeah.
In the end.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's not trying to kill Callie or Annie, which she thinks Annie is the victim in all this, because Callie has bones in her room. She collects bones and she puts them on a tablet. That's how she gets dumpster puppy.
Yeah, and she can see ghosts. I think she can predict death. I kind of wrote that as a question mark. Like, she said something that made me think of that she knows when people are going to die.
I think she's just intuitive, and she, like, sees what's going on with Irving and Rob, and, like, she's in that environment where they're fighting all the time.
Yeah.
And they're, like, both kind of abusing each other, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. Which you kind of understand when you get to look the last couple chapters. Which, that irritates me. I don't know. I just want to know. Like, I'm impatient, and that's where I guess that's where the author's like, yes, come on. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, you get that momentum, but I was just like, oh, I am mad. I want to know.
Also, in the last couple chapters, they were like, where's Annie? Like, Annie was missing for a while. So I was like, okay, is Annie dead? Because I thought maybe Irving had killed Annie, and then he went to Sundial to kill the rest of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or at least Rob.
Yeah. At least Rob, yeah. So that's kind of so yeah, Irving comes to Sundial and some shit happens. And Rob ended up killing Irving. Cause this was the only solution in her mind that she was like, this is what I have to do.
To save both of my daughters.
Save both of them.
Because they were mirroring Irving's... She thought Callie was mirroring Irving's behaviors.
Yes.
So he was increasingly getting more violent, and she felt like Callie was doing the same thing with Anna.
Yes.
Annie.
Yes.
I want to call her Anna.
Yeah. No, I totally got what you meant. So then, that's the one part I really liked. Like, Callie realizes that Irving's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Because he kind of comes after Rob, like, the intent to kill her. And I think it finally clicks in Callie's mind, like, oh.
Yeah.
My mom is trying, like, I feel like, I think things shifted in her mindset.
Yeah. And she was like, my mom's trying to help me, and my father is trying to hurt maybe me, but definitely my mom.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. And that's when Callie was like, Mom, we gotta get Annie.
She's with the neighbor.
And I'm like, okay, we're going, we're doing it. But so I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that the last hole that she dug, did she put Irving in?
No, she put him in a mine shaft.
Mine shaft. Okay.
Yeah, because they pushed the car down the mine shaft, because there was like 2 of them. There was one with all the dead dogs.
Okay.
And Callie was like, don't put him down there with them. And then they put him down with in the other mine shaft.
Okay. I was about to say, I knew there was something with the mine shafts.
But she was going to bury him. That's why she dug that hole.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. But, obviously. So, they get home. Annie's fine. I mean, there's something wrong with her.
No.
I don't know where Hannah is. She's just gone. Back home. Who knows? So I'm gonna let you talk about the twist ending because I didn't like it.
Okay, so come to find out that this is why I wish that they would have went into Annie a little bit more, so you would have saw signs. But come to find out that Annie is the one that's killing all the animals that Callie has the bones for, and that she's planning on killing the neighbor because Irving is sleeping with her.
Yes. So plot twist: Annie's the crazy one.
Yeah.
And which is.
See, I liked it, but I also feel like I wish there would have been signs throughout the whole thing where you're like, okay, well, that's weird that she did that. Like,
yeah,
you would have saw
because
more of Annie.
it was so focused on Callie and how quirky, and I mean, it's quirky. I don't know if she'd be like crazy. I mean, she does see dead people, but I mean, that's harmless, really.
Yeah.
In this grand scheme of crazy.
She's not killing things.
Yes, I mean, so she just like, if she has a complete set of bones, she can make the ghost whole again.
Yeah.
So that's when Rachel mentioned something about the
dumpster
leg.
puppy lives in a leg.
Because Callie tries to make it into a ship. I forgot about that, to be honest with you. Yeah, she tries to make it a ship and because she's like, I gotta do it myself. My mom's gonna kill me.
Yeah.
Forgot about that. Anyways.
Poor dumpster puppy.
I know. Yeah. But yeah, so overall rating, I give it a 2 out of 5. Like I told you guys before, I'm very, very harsh with my ratings.
So why did you give it a 2?
I just felt like I wanted more after I finished. I was like, but I feel like this was missing, like Annie's part. So I really was just like, yes, I read it, but I felt like I was missing so much plot points that the book didn't go into.
Yeah. Because you were mainly focused on Rob and Irving.
Yeah.
Not Irving, Robin.
And Callie. Which is fine, but I just felt like there was just the backstory. I feel like they should have elaborated a little bit more, kind of went more into Jack's point of view.
So would you have liked it more as a linear story as opposed to back and forth timeline?
I don't care about the timeline. I kind of like the switching between back and forth because it told you in the chapter, like, Rob then, and then, just Rob is meaning present. I just felt like I felt like I was missing why Rob wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
Like, is it just all the experiment? Was it just all the drug? Or was it something like...
That's why I think some of this is, like, in her mind. Like, she...
Okay.
Because the more, like, I thought about it, I was like, okay, well, what if Irving was actually trying to protect the girls? He's a piece of shit. But what if he was actually trying to protect them, and that everything that she told Callie was made up? Or that she possibly was Jack as Callie. Not Callie, as Rob.
Okay. I can kind of see that. But I felt like the author made Irving, like, a psychopath.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt. That's why I was like, oh yeah, he's the guy. I already solved it. Chapter 1 done. That's kind of how I took it. Because I felt like Irving was killing the people Callie was talking about. I thought that's where it was going.
Yeah.
And then it went crazy, like out of line, which is fine. But I guess I went into this book blind, so I didn't read the back. I don't know if it would have helped me. I think maybe, but I kind of wanted to go into the book just blind because I feel like you get a better perspective.
Yeah.
Like,
and then your opinion is.
Yeah, I changed mine. I was like, nope, scratch this out. Nope, I don't know what the fuck happened. This is not it. Like, I erased some things because I'm like, wow, that was way off.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of why I gave it the rating I did. So what about yours?
So I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Okay.
Trauma and all. It didn't get a 5 because
the trauma.
No, but I felt like it was a well-constructed story. Like, there's some things
Oh, yeah.
that I want more. Like, I wanted Annie's POV.
Yes, yeah.
Like, I didn't care about Irving's POV because we knew he was the archetypal dickhead.
Yeah. He was just a piece of shit. You didn't want to read about him, so that was fine. Right. That was totally fine. I didn't care, but...
But you kind of got left out of, like, Annie's perspective on some of this stuff.
And I felt like Callie's chapters were really, really short. So I really didn't feel like I got a lot of insight of her thought process other than pale Callie telling her these things. Like, it wasn't her subconscious, or was it Rob's daughter?
Yeah.
Like, that's the part I was more intrigued with. And then once I freaking figured it out, you know.
Because I was trying to figure out who Pale Callie was the whole time.
Yeah, I thought it was just a version of herself.
I was like, this can't just be an imaginary.
Yeah, now, once I figured out that Rob was pregnant, I'm like, oh, shit happened. Some trauma, and it was just, oof. Yeah.
And then I thought at one point that Jack might have been Pale Callie, because they looked similar.
Yeah, which would make sense if they're, I get that. But, yeah, I like to think of it, I know it's not necessarily said in the book, but I like to think about it, that it's, you know, her kind of, it wouldn't be sister.
It's kind of her sister. Yeah.
Technically.
Half-sister. They have the same dad.
Yeah, half-sister. Those terms all throw me off, but yes. But yeah, that's what I like to think about it. But I just wanted more. Like, I felt like I wasn't fulfilled. Like, it was a great book, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't give it a read. I'm just saying that's my thought. Like, I just wanted more. I felt like I kept guessing on plot points that I shouldn't feel like I should have.
Yeah. I feel like the end kind of cut it off, like, Annie was the crazy one. And then it was like, done.
Yeah, that was what I was like, what the fuck? Like, that's where I was just like, oh. So I read all this about Callie and how she was crazy, and guess what? It's not her. And so I felt like I kind of, not that I wasted my time, I just felt like I don't know how else to explain it.
You wish that it was not, that neither of them were crazy, maybe?
Yeah, kind of, probably.
I think she had to explain why Annie overdosed at the beginning.
Okay.
Not really overdosed, taking blue Tic Tacs, but...
yeah. It drives me insane. But yeah, that's kind of how I did it. So we decided to do kind of another rating system based on the genre. So this one we did a scary rating.
Yes.
So I'm going to let you take that one first.
So my scary rating is a 5 out of 5 because of trauma.
Yeah.
As I've said multiple times throughout this video.
Yes.
When 85% came and 23 was in the house, I literally started crying. I was like, okay, I can do this. Let's get through it. And then I was good. But that's why it's 5 out of 5 for me.
Oh, yeah. No, I totally get that. I was going to give it a 2, but I decided a 1 out of 5. Mostly just because of the experimentation. I'm not really triggered with dogs. I mean, it is scary, but I don't feel like she went into a lot of gory detail of, besides, Falcon, but he's not a huge plot point, so I felt like that's why she did that.
Yeah.
You're not like emotionally connected to him like you would have been if she described that with Jack.
Yeah. Well, I'm more sensitive to it, so like even if it was 10 pages, like those 10 pages are gonna stick out.
Yeah.
To me.
No, I totally get that. But yeah, mostly for the scary factor for this experimentation and the skull looking stuff on the nose, like that's kind of why I gave it a 1 out of 5.
Okay.
I don't really find crazy people that scary.
Yeah,
I
it was
mean,
more psychologically like
yes,
going into that type of stuff. And less more blood fest, I guess.
yes, yeah. So that's kind of why I gave it. I was gonna initially give it 2, but I was like, I wasn't scared like you were.
Yeah.
While reading it, and that's kind of like a big factor of the ratings. So I like that we were both completely different on both. But it was pretty fun. Obviously not the worst book I've read.
Yeah. I'm not mad at it, obviously.
No,
because I gave it a 4.
yes. But yes, the it's very.
It's pretty.
It's pretty. I mean, I'm all for aesthetically pleasing. I mean, that's kind of one of the main reasons I chose it.
Yeah.
Because I chose the March ones. Just because, this looks pretty. Let's do this. But yeah, I think that's Sundial.
So, would you read another book by her?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm not deterred by Sorry, for some reason that. I'm not going to. I guess I would have to take that back. If I thought the writing was really terrible, I don't know if I could do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would pick up another one. There's some books where I'm like, I like this one from this author, and there are other books where I'm like, I fucking hate this one by this author.
Yeah. I get that.
Like, great example. Twilight. High school years. Shush. Twilight, I liked.
Yes.
When I tried to read her second book, The Host.
Oh, The Host.
Yeah, it's a whole different series. I could not get through it.
I didn't read The Host, so I can't.
Have you watched the movie? Because I love the
No.
movie. Okay. Yeah, I could not get into the book for her, but I liked reading Twilight. So I think it's just kind of preference. But yeah, I would definitely read another book by her.
Okay.
What about you?
Yeah. I mean, I have one
I was gonna say,
over
I think
there
you probably-
still. I think it's Little Eve is the one that's by her.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Her most famous one is The House on Needless Street. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
House on Needless Street.
Have you read that one?
No.
Do you have it?
No.
Oh.
I've been looking for
Scared.
it.
I figured she'd have. Obviously, she has a lot of books. I don't have that much. But yeah, so that's Sundial. I hope you guys liked our impression of it, and if you've read it, let us know if you liked it or not.
Also, next week is going to be Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas.
Which is also my birth week.
Yes, it is. Which I think is why she picked it.
I did not. It was just pure coincidence. Because we didn't really... I mean, we talked about the order, but I wasn't thinking that. But it just worked out, so it'll be fun. It'll be fun to do. So, and that's the romance pick, right?
Yes. This one should be a little less intense.
I'm going to hold you to that.
I don't think that's a dark romance. So...
that we know of. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, join us next week. Really? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have anything else to...
I don't think I'm...
Okay. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the first video of us. And then obviously the podcast. Hope you liked listening to our nonsense of a book. Not nonsense, but discussion regarding the book.
Yeah.
So, all right. Until next week. See you guys later.